So I bet you're wondering how to apply to the Student Direct Scheme, that is the SDS scheme, to go to Canada for your education. Now, if you are going to be applying for the visa normally, it generally takes about 2 to 3 months for the process to complete. But if you apply through SDS, and if you're eligible to apply through SDS, by the way, and it's a narrow eligibility criteria, not a lot of people get through the eligibility, but we're going to talk about that right now. And if you are eligible, I highly recommend you file your application under the SDS scheme. The reason is basically because they get your application processed within 20 calendar days, which of course is pretty great given that there's a lot of delay. Otherwise, 2 or 3 months and 20 calendar days, it's basically less than 1 month, which is essentially why the SDS scheme is so popular. And that's what we're going to be talking about, exactly how to do it step by step. I'm going to be showing you on my computer itself as of now. Now, before we go over the eligibility and how to go ahead with the application, I want you to understand we do hundreds of applications every single year, and having someone by your side with experience can count a lot. So just in case you would be interested in having us on your side, you can take a look at YMGrad.com, go into the services section, the visa application help, scroll down to Canada, and you'll see everything end to end is covered literally until you get your visa stamped. Every single point, there's really nothing that we've left uncovered over here. So you can take a look at that, and in case your visa gets rejected, we offer you the whole service again free of charge. We're really proud of the SOPs that we build over here, and that's, I believe, one big reason that our rejection rate is extremely low, and hence we believe we can help you in case you're interested. Now, even if you're going to be doing the process by yourself, I understand that there's a lot of parts that you may not actually be able to go through, right? And not everyone is interested in working with someone else. Some people want to pursue it themselves. For those of you guys, I'm bringing you this video, I'm telling you exactly how to go ahead with the process. Of course, we're not going to take typical scenarios that, okay, this person had so many backlogs or their IELTS score is lower, etc., whatever it is, right? Those scenarios we cover one-on-one. But for those of you guys who qualify and you want to do it by yourself, here's the process. First, let's go over the eligibility. What are the things you need to qualify for SDS? Now, you should be a legal resident of one of the following countries as shown on your screen right now. Please note that India is one of these countries, so if you're an Indian watching this, you qualify. However, there are a lot of countries that have been left out. Students who are watching from Bangladesh, Nepal, right? You guys are not qualifying for this. Most countries in Africa also will not qualify for the SDS stream, so please remember that you must fulfill this requirement. If you do not, you probably want to end this video right here. Number 2, you need a letter of acceptance from a designated learning institution. Of course, the DLI list is available on the website of the CIC, and again, you can basically go ahead, take a look at that, but your reputable institution should give you a letter of acceptance that yes, uncontestably we give you this offer. There's really no conditions attached. You are eligible to come. Okay, then of course your GIC should be there. You should pay the GIC amount and you should have the receipt. Your proof of payment of the first year's tuition should be there, and there's a variety of ways to prove that. I'm not gonna go deep into it, but these are the 4 ways in general, and you can see there's various kinds of receipts and proof of payments that are shown over here, and even a bank account you can transfer money to that basically will be used to pay your tuition. There's a lot of ways. Basically, we're not gonna go into the depth of that as of now because that's out of scope of this video for the most part. Of course, you need an IELTS academic score, and believe me, there is a requirement that your score should be 6 points or higher on each of the language skills sections. So please make sure that you have that. Then you need a proof of upfront medical examination. Most of you guys, you will need a medical examination, and for that you will need an upfront proof. Remember, there's a way that these things are done for basically people who are going to Canada. There's specific doctors available, and you have to get basically a certificate from one of these doctors only, okay? And this needs to be done in advance and not later on, which can be the case if you're not applying for the SDS stream, by the way. But for SDS, you have to have it in advance. Then there's the proof of police certificate. Now, it may not be required for every single case, but like I said, if required, you need to have it in advance. And finally, recent transcripts. If you've finished schooling, or if you've finished high school, you've finished undergraduate degree, whatever you've finished, you need to have the transcript for that in advance before applying, okay? And it is very important that you do. In case you do not, then again, you do not qualify for the SDS. These are the eligibility requirements that I just quoted, guys, so make sure that you have all of these boxes checked. Now we're gonna go on to the Canada website. Right over here you can see I am logged in and I am trying to apply to come to Canada. Right here you're gonna see me apply, and I'm gonna select most of the options that, of course, you're going for a study visa, so I don't have to explain a lot of these, right? But at the same point of time, what would you like to do in Canada? I like to study. How are you planning to stay in Canada? I'm planning to stay there temporarily, but more than 6 months. I'm assuming that your course is more than 6 months, okay? Select the code that matches your passport. Let's say that it is India for the references of this video. What is your current territory of residence? Again, very important over here. It has to be one of the eligible countries for the SDS stream, okay? Very important thing over here. All right, do you have a family member? I would say no. Date of birth, let's just select a random date right over here. Let's say that it is 1997, April and 7th, and let's move on to the next part. And you can see really over here, it's a simple form for the most part, but there are complicated things that happen and people do get rejected, even though it's pretty simplistic. It looks simplistic, it's really not. Okay, are you lawful permanent residents of the US? I'm gonna say no. All right, let's move on. Then it's gonna ask you, have you been accepted into your DLI? Like I said, so you're gonna say yes, and hopefully you already qualify for this. Now, have you lived or visited any one of the designated countries? I'm gonna say no to this one actually. Let's move on, and it's gonna ask you, have you taken a medical exam, like I said, performed by an IRCC authorized panel physician? Like I said, there's designated people who will be doing this, right, within the last 12 months. You have to select yes over here, otherwise you're not eligible for the SDS stream, right? Let's move on. Do you have a GIC? You have to select yes. Did you pay the first year tuition full? You have to select yes, and hopefully you've already done it. And of course, you can go with the DEF test. That's basically test of French, but in your case, most of the people watching this, you're going for the SDS through IELTS, so I'm going to select IELTS. Okay, and let's move on. Okay, for the next question, it's asking, were all your results for listening, reading, writing? Like I said, they have to be over 6. And this is an important question. Why is the portal asking you this? Because trying to identify, do you qualify for SDS or not? I'm going to say yes. My scores are higher. In that case, what happens next is it's going to ask you some marital status questions. Now these are of course not really very relevant, but you can select almost anything that you want over here, depending on, of course, your exact scenario. Okay, let's move on, and it's taking a little bit of time. Let's just let it load and let's see where it goes. Okay, great. My results are that I am actually eligible for the SDS stream, which is great because that is what we are talking about in this video. I'm so lucky to have that over here. Let's continue. All right, and continuing, it's gonna get me to the SDS questionnaire now. Okay, now this is gonna be a little bit more specific. Do you have a valid work permit or study permit? I'm gonna say no. I do not have one of these. Of course, I would like to apply for these, right? And I'm gonna move forward. Okay, are you an exchange student? No, I'm not. Is work an essential part of your studies? In most cases, it should be a yes. Depends on your exact LOA, what you're doing. Remember, very important question over here. People do get this wrong. Are you a spouse, common law partner, or child, certain skilled worker? Or I'm gonna say no, I'm not. Okay. Are you a Commonwealth recipient? Again, for these things, you can again take a look at which country you're from, etc., and whether you are basically qualifying for a Commonwealth scholarship, etc., and do you have one already, right? If not, you can maybe apply. But again, like I said, this is for me. I'm gonna say no. Okay, so we're not looking at those specific cases right now. So let's just move on with the general answers. Are you accompanying a family member that has status in Canada or has been recently approved to come to Canada? I'm gonna say no. I'm coming alone for the most part. And let's move forward. Next question is, have you committed, been arrested, or been charged with any criminal offense? I'm going to say no. Like I said, we're looking at general cases only over here. All right, do you want to submit application for a family member? I'm going to say no. Let's move on. Okay, let's see over here. It's saying, are you giving access to someone else? I'm going to say no. No one is handling this application but me, right? In the past 10 years, have you given your fingerprints and photo or biometrics for an application to come to Canada? I'm going to say no, I have not done that. Remember, all of this, even though it's no, you're still eligible for the SDS. There are fees associated with the application. Will you be paying? I'm going to say yes, I will be paying my application fee. And moving on to the next one, are you able to make a digital copy of your documents? Now this question is actually a requirement. You have to select yes for SDS because again, for the most part, if you're not able to do this, they're not able to give you a paper-based application for SDS. It has to be all online only. Okay, so I'm going to select yes. Moving forward, it's going to ask how will you be paying, etc. I'm going to say yes, I'm okay with these cards. I can pay using one of these cards. That's fine, right? And next, it should basically take me to the page where I have to, review everything. All right, so I'm going to say this looks fine to me. Let's move on. All right, and now it's basically telling me, okay, this is what you have to do. This is how you submit your application, da da da. Again, you guys can actually read this. I recommend that you do if you're doing this for the first time. We have already read this hundreds of times, so I'm gonna click continue. Okay, moving forward, it's taking a little bit of time again, but here we are, final page. Essentially, this is everything that you have to submit, and there's actually extra things that you submit on this form, by the way, because this is not your general application form. This is the SDS form, so there are additional things like your recent transcript, your proof of GIC. Otherwise they would not ask you for some of these, actually, but these are now required from you because you said that you have them, hence you have to provide them, right? Evidence of work, requirement, and study. Remember, I selected yes, so there has to be evidence for that. Proof of tuition payment, first year tuition at least you should have paid, and you should show it over here. Proof of IELTS language test results, and all 4 sections should be above 6. So very important that you understand these, guys. Again, there's additional sections, of course, but there are some of those same sections as well that you would generally find, like client information. This is where your SOP goes, very, very impacting, very, very important part of your application. And then finally, you fill in this application, you submit. I'm not going to cover all of this, of course, this is out of scope, but we can actually do this for you in case you would be interested. You can actually take a look at the visa application help where we cover every single thing, every single one of these forms and everything. All that is taken care of by our team, and we are able to track your status. Anyway, so that's basically how you go forward with the SDS application. If that is something you would be interested in, I highly recommend make sure that you're eligible, apply, because it is genuinely the best way to get the study permit. And I hope that you get through, and I wish you all the very best. If you're interested in more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow me on Instagram, where you can actually connect with me anytime you want or get regular updates about the videos that are coming onto this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye and take care for now. Bye.